people.
Pay your share, make it equal.
Tax the rich, fund the people.
Pay your share, make it equal.
All right, all right. So we're going to keep going. So let's see, because we're going to talk to Kathy Hochul today, all right? Y'all cool with that? We're going to talk to our governor. So they are negotiating the New York State budget as we speak. And we want to make sure that our governor is in line with the people, right? So what we're going to say is, Kathy Hochul, you can't hide. We can see your greedy side. We're going to say, all right? Kathy Hochul, you can't hide. We can see your greedy side. Kathy Hochul, you can't hide.
We can see your greedy side.
All right. So then this next one we're going to do, no cuts, no delay. So I'm going to say, no more cuts, no delay. Tax the rich today, today. No more cuts, no delay. Tax the rich
Today, today.
No more cuts, no delay. Tax the rich
Today.
Yes, man. Okay, let's do it. All right, so we're going to stick with those three because it's a little cold. So we just going to keep going. I'm about to bring up and introduce, so we are all up here. We're facing forward. This wind is going crazy. We are going to introduce our amazing MC for today, Miss Emily Simmons from Plus One America. Thank you, thank you. Emily is going to be graciously introducing folks, keeping the blood pumping, and letting us know why we're here today. So everyone, you take over? All right, let's take it over. Here we go.
Okay, good afternoon, Austining. We're here. My name is Emily, and like you, I am a New Yorker who is gathering here to send a message to Governor Hochul that the rich need to be taxed in the state budget. Do you feel like I do?
Yes!
You want the rich to be taxed, right?
Yes!
That's what I thought. We live in a time where the ultra-wealthy are consuming all of the wealth in our society, while working-class people struggle to survive. We have a dire affordability crisis in the state, and concentrated wealth is at the root of it. We cannot fix this crisis until we redistribute the wealth. Yes. All right. It's Hochul's job to make sure that our collective wealth is shared by everyone. So we're calling on her today to stop listening to her ultra-wealthy donors and instead listen to ordinary people who work hard to make a living. Restoring democracy requires taking away the power of wealthy elites. Neither kings or billionaires should rule any of us, all right? All right, we're going to do one of your chants.
All right. Let's start it back over with this one, y'all. Tax the rich, fund the people. Pay your share, make it equal. Tax the rich, fund the people.
Pay your share, make it equal.
Tax the rich, fund the people.
Pay your share, make it equal.
Woo! All right, I guess it's my turn. All right, y'all. So I'm a little bit rusty. I gotta let y'all know this is my first time speaking in a few months. I'm just coming back from family leave because my son was born in November. Thank you. Big shout out, Cairo Leon. Gotta shout the little boy out, right? All right. But there's a reason we're here today, and it's not to talk about my kids. It's to talk about everybody's kids in the future in New York State, right? But what's really important, I gotta name a couple things before I jump into this. So today is March 14th. Y'all know what was significant about yesterday? It was Friday the 13th. It also marked 6 years since the murder of Breonna Taylor. And it also marked 6 years since the world shut down for a global pandemic. And if y'all remember, in that time, it was community that kept us safe. It was community that showed up for each other. It was community that made it so when folks were losing their jobs, losing their homes, couldn't make ends meet, that was showing up and filling those gaps. And I think New York State government got a little too comfortable with that, and they stopped doing their jobs. Right now, we're living in Trump 2.0, right? We have a federal administration who is essentially at war with New York, among other places in the world, right? He has cut funding to Medicaid, Medicare, that's going. Okay.
You're good.
He's cut funding to Medicaid and Medicare, to food stamps, to SNAP, to all of these things that people rely on to survive. And the net result is that regular, everyday people in New York State are suffering. Right now, in Albany, they are negotiating this year's budget, where they're going to talk about how can we fund universal child care, how can we make sure everyone has affordable housing, how can we make sure that we're meeting people's health care needs, right? That's what they're talking about. But we have a governor who is hell-bent on saying no new taxes, who is hell-bent on saying that she will not do what needs to be done to ensure that we can fund all of these programs and services people rely on to survive. Last week, the two houses of the state legislature both put forth their one-house budget. Both of those budgets included policies to raise taxes on the ultra-rich, right? Because shout out, yeah, exactly, make some noise, because shout out to, exactly, and shout out to Andrea Stewart Cousins, shout out to Carl Hasty.
Dana Levenberg and Pete Harcum.
Yup, shout out to Dana Levenberg and Pete Harcum too. Exactly, we're in friendly territory, right? Because the people who are supposed to represent us directly are doing their jobs. But that's only 2/3 of the equation. And 1/3 has superpowers in this negotiation, right? And that's Governor Hochul. Because Governor Hochul 2 months ago released her executive budget. You know what her budget did not include? Exactly. It did not raise taxes on the ultra-rich. And because it didn't raise taxes on the ultra-rich, we now have to negotiate for that, right? Because Governor Hochul does not want to do that. And so this week they are entering in what's called 3 people in a room. And because it's 3 people in a room, Andrea Stewart Cousins and Carl Hasty are going to bat for us, and Kathy Hochul is going to bat for the millionaires and billionaires of this state. And so we are here today, yeah, that's right, boom, let her know. We are here today to make sure that Kathy Hochul knows that we are watching, we are paying attention. If we could tax the rich, we could fund climate justice. If we could tax the rich, we could have universal health care. If we could tax the rich, we could have free colleges and universities. People could have permanent, stable, affordable housing. We can do what needs to be done to make sure our people are good, regardless of what Mike Lawler wants, regardless of what Mark Wayne Mullen wants, regardless of what Donald Trump and Mike Johnson want at the federal level. We can protect people here in New York State today. And so we're here to set this off, and we're here to make it known that we are not going to stand by and be quiet. We are going to make our voices heard, and we are going to show up in Ossining, we're going to show up in Nyack, we're going to show up in Brewster, we're going to show up in East Fishkill, and Cold Spring, and Hopewell, and in Albany, and all across New York State, to make sure that they know that a people united can never be defeated, and that we are here to say, tax the rich and fund the people. So I thank y'all for letting me be up here. I'm not going to take up any more time. I'm going to hand it back to our amazing MC, Emily, who's going to kick us off with our amazing speakers list.
Isaiah Benito, Citizen Action! Let's give it up, let's give it up! All right, Jen Cabrera, you are up. Jen is from our Putnam Westchester Working Families Party. Let's give her a warm welcome!
All right, can y'all hear me?
There we go. Technical difficulties, y'all.
All right, can y'all hear me now? This is my daughter, Kiara. My son, Juno, is over there. Let's get my little script out. All right, so I want to welcome all of you to Ossining, which is the best village in Westchester County. My name is Jennifer Cabrera. I am the co-chair of the Westchester Putnam chapter of the Working Families Party. Thank you. I'm a mother of these 2 beautiful children and a very proud resident of the beautiful village of Ossining. This summer, we are actually celebrating
10 years since we chose Ossining as the place to raise our family. And if you all will indulge me, I want to talk a little bit about how that happened. So my spouse and I came here from Jackson Heights, Queens, and we chose Ossining for a variety of reasons. It was closer to extended family who needed us nearby. It's obviously a beautiful place. It is diverse by Westchester standards. And it was affordable for us at the time. It was absolutely an affirmative choice, and one that I have never regretted. But the reason that we were even thinking about moving was because we realized that raising a family in New York City was going to be an expensive proposition. It probably was something that we could have afforded, but there wouldn't have been much money left to enjoy the things that we loved about the city. And frankly, it was a choice that was available to us because we had some financial privilege. It turned out to be lucky that we made the leap when we did, because just a couple years after buying our home, its value had risen so much that we couldn't have afforded it ourselves. Over the years, I have watched Black and brown families like mine, the families of my children's friends, leaving Ossining, leaving Westchester, and even leaving the state, because the cost of living has just become too much. Rents have reached eye-watering heights, with luxury units sitting empty, while families struggle to find a place they can actually afford. The cost of childcare is just about the same as the mortgage, while the people providing the care, usually immigrant women of color like my mom, are barely getting by themselves. Healthcare premiums go up while coverage seems to decrease every year, and then the hospitals are taking a beating because Republicans like Mike Lawler have voted to take away the Medicare funding that those hospitals rely on. But the wildest part about all of this is that these are not unsolvable problems. They are calculated political choices. And they are the choices that got us to where we are today. We have an authoritarian president that is starting wars all over the world, killing schools full of children, and terrorizing our communities at home because both major parties, both, continually fail to address the needs of working people. In 2024, voters stayed home because the last time they showed up for the most important election of their lifetime, it didn't meaningfully improve their lives. Or they voted for the other party because at least their anger was being validated on the other side of the aisle. With a representative in Congress who's more willing to fight for nuclear power plants than for the people of our communities, it is time for our state government to step up and protect us. That is why the Working Families Party is fighting for what we call the Working Families Guarantee. A home you can afford, universal child care, health care for everyone, and a state that stands up to Trump and protects our immigrant loved ones. And these are not pipe dreams. There are bills in Albany today that would make it easier to build new green housing, repair public housing so that our most vulnerable can live in dignity, and make it easier to access housing assistance. And how do we get the money to make housing affordable? We tax the rich. The Universal Child Care Act is in Albany today. That bill would provide universal child care to every single child across the state and increase pay for our community members who do the critical work of caring for them. How do we get money for universal child care? We tax the rich. The New York Health Act is in Albany today, and it would provide health care to every single New Yorker, saving our hospitals and making sure that no one ever has to decide between seeing the doctor or putting food on the table. How do we pay for universal child health care in New York? The Access to Representation Act is in Albany today. It would guarantee legal representation for any New Yorker facing deportation, because we will not let this authoritarian regime tear our communities apart without a fight. And how do we get the money to make sure that no one faces deportation without an attorney at their side? We tax the rich. And guess what else is in Albany today? Right now. The Invest in Our New York package of legislation that would increase taxes on the richest of the rich, close loopholes, and make sure that corporations who are raking in massive profits pay their share. The only thing we lack is the political will to tax the rich. It's that simple, y'all. If you want to improve the lives of New Yorkers, you tax the rich. New Yorkers are not struggling because the resources aren't there. New Yorkers are struggling because the resources aren't shared.
Yes.
But our governor seems to think that it's okay for regular people to struggle so that the rich have more money to spend buying sports team and media outlets. We say we are done subsidizing their third and fourth homes when working people can barely afford one. We say that we refuse to make our children say goodbye to another friend simply because it is too expensive to live in this state. So call the governor, call your senator, call your assembly member, and tell them that they must pass a budget that puts people first. It is well past time for the rich to pay their fair share, and it is well past time to tax the rich. Thank you, Jennifer Cabrera. Give it up. All right, we're gonna do some more chants.
All right, y'all, I'm back. All right, let's give them no cuts, no delay. Tax the rich today, today. No cuts, no delay. Tax the rich today, today. No cuts, no delay. Tax the rich today, today. Keep on, y'all got it? Y'all need me to do it? No cuts, no delay. Tax the rich today, today. No cuts, no delay. Tax the rich today, today.
Okay, next up, Tina Bowles-Bongar from Peekskill Progressive. Tina, let's go.
Hi, I'm Tina Bowles-Bongar from Peekskill, New York, and I'm here today at the request of the Working Families Party. I am a Democratic Party district leader and on the executive committee of our Democratic committee, and I am here to tell Kathy Hochul that she did one of the most destructive things she could do for our Democratic Party. And she came out and she said, I am not taking public campaign finance funds. This is a way for us, as the people, as taxpayers, to hold our elected officials responsible for all of the decisions that they make. What we need to do, and we need to ask our legislators to do it too, is to make public campaign finance reform rules as such that it becomes the exception, not the rule. Okay? She told the taxpayers, I am saving you money. That is wrong. What she's doing is masking who her donors are, who her campaign finance people are. So please, on behalf of me and all of the other blue voters in the state, please tell Kathy Hochul that she needs to revise public campaign finance reform, be audited as she should, and let the voters and taxpayers make the decisions that they should on who represents them in Albany. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak.
Thank you, Tina. Natasha, you are up. Natasha Young, New York Communities for Change, give it up. End corporate greed, build people power. 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 I started that because I am in solidarity with Citizens Action, and they have been at this for a very, very long time. And we know that our governor is hesitant right now because she doesn't want to upset corporate donors. And my name
Tasha Young. I'm here representing New York Communities for Change, saying that we sent you to Albany to represent us, Governor Hochul. And as the leader and the head of the Democratic Party and our governor, we demand that you tax the most wealthy in New York to provide the services that we need.
Yeah. I do have a script, so I don't overtalk. All right. So I've been organizing all over Westchester County. Yeah, thank you so much.
What's an organizer without her clipboard? So I'm here today with the message for our governor, and it's not complicated. You can do this, and you should. The state budget deadline is March 31st, just 18 days away, and right now, everything working families in Westchester need is within reach if the governor chooses to act. Here's the landscape. Both the state Senate and the state Assembly, both controlled by fellow Democrats, have already put tax hikes on the wealthiest New Yorkers and corporations in their official budget proposals. The legislative work is done, and the votes are there, and we want to say thank you to them. And we knew this because we have representatives who actually represent us. They come to us with our rallies. They're here with us. We know them. Dana Levenberg from the Assembly, Senator Pete Harckham. An Assembly member, because I'm from Terrytown, Mary Jane Shimsky. And my senator, who's the Senate Majority Leader, Andrea Stewart-Cousins. These are elected officials who understand what representative government is supposed to mean. That you go to Albany and you fight for the people who sent you there. They know that progressive taxation is not a radical idea. This is literally what government is for. It's how we pay for what we need. It's our money. And it's how a democracy keeps its promises. And here's what progressive taxation looks like in practice. New York has 9 income tax brackets, ranging from 4% all the way up to 10%. A working family in Westchester, a teacher, a home health aide, a warehouse worker, is already paying between 5% and 6.8% of their income in state taxes. That means so much more when you make less. Millionaires are paying 9.65, and when you compare it, it's not equal. It's not fair taxation. Governor Hochul does not have to fight for this alone. All she has to do is say yes. The people are already behind her. Governor Hochul, say yes. Governor Hochul, say yes. Governor Hochul, say yes. Progressive taxation is the best. So because here's what the revenue means for real people and communities. We need that revenue for childcare, not just new programs laid on top of a broken system, but fair reimbursements for small community providers, living wages for childcare workers, and enough sustained funding to last beyond 2 years. We need that revenue for bunks for boilers, so families across Westchester can replace fossil fuel heating systems and actually afford clean energy in their homes. We need that revenue for public campaign finance, like Tina just said, so working people can run for office and win. And people that are, that's right, everybody can run and participate in our democracy. We need that revenue for the New York Health Act, so that every New Yorker has health care as a right, not a privilege tied to a job or a zip code. We need that revenue for our schools, so the quality of a child's education is never determined by the wealth of the neighborhood they were born into. We need that revenue for college and university tuition, so that higher education is a pathway for every family, not a death sentence for working people. And we need that revenue for elder care, so that our parents and grandparents can age with dignity in their homes and in their communities without their families going broke to make it happen. This is not a wish list. This is what government that works for all of us actually looks like from the cradle to the grave. We deserve better. Governor Hochul, you have the legislature. You have the public. You have the moment. Westchester families are watching. We believe you can do this, do the right thing, and tax the ultra rich.
Thank you, Tasha. Tax the rich, fund the people. Pay your share, make it equal. Tax the rich, fund the people. Pay your share, make it equal.
Tax the rich, fund the people, pay your share,
So now we're gonna kick it to another great local activist, somebody who's doing great work in the community, to come up and say a few words. I'm gonna pass the microphone over to Mike Sachs to come up and grace us with a few words.
Hello, everybody. Hi. Turn around for a second. Let's see your shirt. Can I read your shirt? What's it say? End corporate greed, build people power. So they talk about states as laboratories of democracy. Right now, we have a state in which Democrats, Working Families Party people, control both houses of our legislature and the executive. We can show the country what this country can be when we are all in it together. The choice is Governor Hochul's now. She can get in that room and agree to tax the rich and fund the people. She can get in that room and say, I will now subscribe to taking public money for the campaigns. Because right now, the cancer on our politics is that corporate greed not going back to we the people, but being funneled back into the candidates that they want to capture our courts, capture our legislatures, capture our executives, to make sure that we cannot turn the page on the past 40 years of gridlock we've been in. We now can turn that page. In New York State, we've already begun. We're very close to doing so. At the federal level, we can build the power to turn that page. But New York State can lead the way. We can lead the way with fair taxation that makes sure the rich pay their fair share to fund the people. To end that corporate greed, that cycle going back into campaigns to capture our politicians, to capture our politics, so that we cannot have our say. But we can have our say, right? Yeah! We can make sure that we are heard when we have a majority, that we will win, can't we? Yeah! We can make sure that the same Supreme Court that decided Citizens United, that flooded our campaigns with cash, can be changed, that stands for us and stands for our having a fair politics where the majority rules, can't we? Yeah! Thank you all for being here today. We have some excellent speakers coming after and amazing speakers coming before. Thank you, Citizen Action. Thank you, Working Families Party. Thank you for everyone putting this on today.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. This next one is really important too, because I also want to name. We are dealing with a struggle from the federal level down to the local level. They're cutting health care at the federal level. They're cutting food stamps. They're cutting housing. They're cutting all of these programs at the federal level. That means at the local level, there's an additional $1.3 billion worth of expenses that local governments in New York State are going to have to cover the costs of. Because of that, that means our sidewalks, our public schools, our police agencies, all of these things that are funded at the local levels are now getting pitted against each other, right? Which is why in the middle, we have a state government with the power to do something. And so this next speaker I'm very privileged to bring up is a Tarrytown Board of Trustee member and an amazing advocate standing up and fighting for the community. So without further ado, I want to make some noise and give some big energy for Effie Stanley Phillips coming up to the front.
Got it. Fund the people.
Tax the rich, fund the people.
Pay your share and make it equal.
Tax the rich, fund the people. Pay your share, make it equal. Thank you so much for having me, and I have a message to Kathy Hochul. If she fails to tax the rich, that's going to hit us on the front lines of our communities. When those expenses get transferred down to our local governments, it's going to tax all of us and everybody else. And the taxation, as we know, is already unfair. It is outrageous that people who are working people, middle-class people, have to pay a percentage that actually hurts them more than it would for the rich. So this is my message to Kathy Hochul. The job is to be a public servant. I am a 3-term trustee in Tarrytown, and I am a public servant on the front lines. She used to be a local elected official. She knows what that means, but she has forgotten who her real base is. It is not the super rich. It is
she forgets what her job is, and that is to be a public servant, not a servant of the rich who pay for her campaigns. So we'll see how it goes, Kathy, in that room with 3. But we expect you to do the right thing. And that is to be a public servant, to serve the public, and that means taxing the rich. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Effie. Let's give it up for all of our speakers today. Jen, where are you? There you are. Mike, Effie, Tasha, Tina, Isaiah. That's it, Mike. Yes, that's it. Okay, we're gonna do like 2 more chances. That'll be the ball game.
All right, y'all, let's send them home with some good ones. Let's do what we haven't done. Oh, this was a Hudson Valley one. Right? We all in the Hudson Valley. Hudson Valley, make some noise. All right, so this one, I'm going to say Hudson Valley standing tall, tax the rich and fund us all. Hudson Valley standing tall, tax the rich and fund us all. Hudson Valley standing tall, tax the rich and fund us all. Hudson Valley standing tall, tax the rich and fund us all. All right, and then the last one that we're going to close out. Because we got to remember, we're talking to the governor today. We're going to go back to this one because this is my favorite one of the day. Happy Hoku, you can't hide.
We can see your greedy side.
Happy Hoku, you can't hide.
We can see your greedy side.
Happy Hoku, you can't hide.
We can see your greedy side.
All right, y'all, tax the rich. Yeah. All right, thank y'all so much for coming out today, for joining us. Before folks head out, if you haven't already, I know the wind's been crazy with the table over here, but we have an Invest in Our New York petition that you can sign to make your voice heard. We'll follow up, give you some extra actions you can take after you leave here too. We also have information about Citizen Action of New York, and we also have information about the New York 17 Community Coalition, which is a grassroots coalition of organizations all across this congressional district working to activate voters and to make our voices heard so that we can have elected leadership that holds us accountable. So please, y'all, please stay in tune, please come back out, and please keep making your voices heard. Thank y'all so much and have a good rest of y'all day.